ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's yet another wonderful Saturday morning that you're joining us here on Elevate TV, and we're bringing to you your favorite program that is touching youth at its core, talking youth matters. I mean, here we're all about young people, ministering to their souls, ministering to their economic needs, their social needs. This is NEXTGEN WARRIORS on Elevate TV. So, ladies and gentlemen, times are tough out here and things are happening. We are losing young people to things like alcohol, drug, prostitution, masponyo, things are just happening, and it's like there's a disconnect somewhere, and the young people really need to get hooked to some role models and mentors. And so today we just want to talk about the role of mentors and role models in the society. And of course, if I say we, it means that there's a guest in studio. So ladies and gentlemen, this morning I'm blessed to have one of the most accomplished Taita ladies in Kenya. Her name is Sofina Merino. She's a business development officer at Udhabiti. She's an editor for the KE Idealist. She's a sister in Christ, and above all, she's an education expert. She's also a mentor with several organizations in and out of Nairobi. I believe you've seen her so much on social media and with the UN Women dealing with matters education. So ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could say clap your hands, but here is Sofina Merino. Welcome on board.
Good morning, and thank you so much for that warm introduction.
I've been looking for you for ages.
It's been a while, but thanks to God, we are here. And I mean, this is the opportune moment for us to have this conversation. So I'm very pleased to be here.
Wow.
Asante.
So, mentorship.
Yes.
What does it mean to you, mentorship?
Mentorship to me is giving back.
Giving back.
Mentorship to me is holding a hand. Mentorship to me is passing the hope.
I don't know which one to pick, but you've said so many. Let's proceed.
Yes. So, I mean, I will talk about mentorship by giving my own story.
Yeah.
I usually say I am where I am because I've walked on the shoulders of giants. All right. It's because someone held my hand and said, "Hey, young lady, come here." That's why I got here.
Kuna mtu wa Canada anasikiza sasa hivi. Kizungu giants, unajua?
Yes. So someone took my hand, akasema, "Njoo nikuonyeshe. You want to go on this pathway? Come, I show you." And basically what I'm trying to say is just defining mentorship in what it is. It's about being in a platform and helping other people, in this case, helping other young people to reach on that platform and to identify the opportunities that you have identified.
Wow.
Yes.
So that is mentorship.
Yes.
What's the difference when you come to role model?
Now, role model, I'll tell you something. Role model, one person I see as a role model for me is Oprah Winfrey. Okay? So I've never met Oprah, hajanishika mkono, but because of how she carries herself, jinsi ambavyo anajibeba, how she conducts her interviews, her belief system, her belief in God, her belief in her faith, I look at that and I say, I would want to emulate that. So for me, Oprah is a role model. Let's come, umesema tukuje hapa nchini, locally. So the question would be, in this country, who would you say is a role model? Okay, so for me, I have Karen Wakoli. She's the CEO of Emerging Leaders Foundation.
I know Karen.
Ah, lovely. Yes, so just being able to observe how she carries herself, how she does her work, how she interacts with the world daily, you get to see that's a person you'd like to emulate. So that's what it means for one to have a role model.
So then if I have a mentor and I have a role model, must I know them in person, or you can be my role model and I don't know you? You can be my mentor and I don't know you?
Okay.
Which one is which?
Yes. Now, I'd say for the role model, at least that one is general. You can have a role model and you have not met them. You can equally have a role model and you have met them, or you even live with them. I don't know, I mean, you do school mentorship, and when you ask young boys and girls, who is your mentor? They tell you, my mother. All right? Sorry, who's your role model? They say my mother, because they like what they see. But now, when we come to mentorship, I mean, we are now in a world of technology, okay? Whereby we are saying, I don't have to have you in the same city, in the same town, even in the same continent, but you can be my mentor because of connections with our electronic gadgets. We have mobile phones, we have laptops and the likes that can help us communicate. So what I'd say for mentorship, it's important to be in touch. Yes, because when you talk about mentorship, it's that guidance and being able to speak and have that interaction, one-on-one interaction. So I'd say for mentorship, it's important to find a way to be in touch with the person whom you wish to be your mentor or mentee. Yes.
Wow. Kizungu nitakuwa ngumu, but we will just navigate along the way.
Tutaendelea pia Kiswahili.
You know, when I was thinking of a guest to have on this show, I was thinking of a lady, and I was like, you know, when you bring a lady on board, she understands the challenges that young ladies go about or face in the society. You know, many of the times that we've had men on the show,
yes,
and I think we've been a bit biased. So today I want to also be a bit biased toward the ladies.
All right.
So what are some of the challenges you as a young person, because I know you are young by all standards, of course I won't mention the age, though I may be knowing it. So what are some of the challenges that young girls face in the society right now?
Yes.
Even before we get to how young girls can connect to mentors and role models, what are some of the challenges in your view that young girls face?
That's a dear question to me, because we have very many.
Yeah.
We have very many
course,
challenges.
don't
yes.
mention, just give us a few.
The girls are facing in the society right now, and I think, you know, we cannot ignore the role of the pandemic, especially to our economy. And what that has done is brought about with it increased levels of poverty. So you're able to realize that young girls, one, do not have access to employment. And, you know, I'll just go across the scope in the terms of the young girl who is a daughter to a young woman, or even the young woman who is seeking opportunities in employment. So you realize you do not have opportunities of employment, you realize poverty levels are raised. And what this does, it means we do not have access to resources. Now, this is a topic that has been discussed year in, year out, and we continue to address it. The issue of girls just being able to access the basics of life, okay? And what that does is, one, these are some of the things that are leading to early marriage, because the girl realizes there's really not much that I can do. Well, which is not true again, because now as mentors in the field, that's what we're trying to demystify. But they get to a point where they're like, there's nothing much I can do. But here is a man, he goes out every day to ride his boda boda. He gets at least, 300 shillings a day. I can go live with him and at least I'll never go hungry, okay? So that brings in the issue of early marriage. And then also in terms of, if you don't have money, education again, it becomes difficult. You said you're having a bias on girls. Definitely for parents, it becomes difficult to send their children to school. Okay, but how our society is if I have a boy and I have a girl, I would tend towards the girl can work hard, she's more responsible, so I'd rather she takes mandazi and goes sells, and I try to take the boy to school. Okay, so such cultural practices are affecting us as a society, which now means this girl probably will be drawn out of school. Okay, and then speaking of culture, the issue of FGM, especially if we go to our rural communities, the issue of FGM is still vibrant even as we speak. Yes, we have efforts that continue to be done, but it's still an issue that affects our young girls, especially in the rural areas. And then the other problem we have is in the health sector, whereby we're saying, well, we talk about this most of the time, youth-friendly services. Again, I'll touch a bit on the issue of sexuality. Can young people access these services when they go to the hospitals? But even generally, Corona is here with us. How much is it to get a Corona test? How many people in the informal settlement can afford 5,000 shillings to get a Corona test? But, that's for now. But even simple things like access to waterborne diseases, malaria, Are our hospitals equipped enough to take care of these cases?
Now, I want to bring you closer to the city. There's this girl watching me maybe from Kahawa, and the challenges that ladies or young girls in the city face. And here I'm looking at high school students, primary, maybe class 8, 7 girls, and college students. You know, there are various issues that are very unique to the cities. So maybe if you bring us now, because the cities won't get much of the culture and what have you. But if you bring us closer to the city, because I know you've grown somewhere in the city. So what are some of the challenges that these young people would face in a city setting, like in Nairobi, where we are?
I think when we come to the city setting, and that's, you know, our audience who are watching us right now, the problem of mental health, mental wellness, what's it called? Depression. Yes, those are some of the things that we cannot downplay in our society right now, because I think that is one of the arising issues that needs to be addressed. And then the other issue we're looking at is peer pressure. What kind of friendships, you as a young girl watching me right now, what kind of friendships do you have? What kind of relationships do you have? I mean, the children will be coming back to the holidays. Who are you hanging out with? What are you doing? What are they encouraging you to do? Again, the media, you know? In fact, if you're watching this show, well done, because you're watching something that will develop you. But the truth is, out there in the media, we have so many things, both positive and negative, that young people are watching. So those are some of the challenges that the young people and the young girls in our society are facing right now.
Well said. But I want to narrow down some few challenges that you've mentioned. There's the issue of peer pressure. There's the mental wellness, and then there's the issue of media.
Yes.
Let me start with peer pressure. So what would draw me to be influenced by this other person as a young girl? I say today I'm biased as the girls. What would draw me to be influenced by Sofina or to be influenced by person X as a young girl? Like, do you have, like, is it fashion? I mean, what are some of these things that will draw me that I need to watch out for so that they don't, like, carry me away?
Thank you for that question. So as a young girl, I think, one, it's about your environment, where you're growing up in. And, you know, I'll give a very good example. For me, I grew up in the church. So the influences around me were positive, okay? And because of that cushion that was around me, you realize when you see something wrong, you already have I don't want to say a comfortable cushion, but you already have a strong cushion to guide you in that way. So for young girls out there, I think those are the things. The environment, first of all, influences where you are, because you realize if you're in a neighborhood whereby most of the young people are engaging in drug and substance abuse, the likelihood is that you would veer off to that direction, which now brings in the question, so what exactly is that thing that I need to have to ensure that I don't veer off in that direction?
What is it?
Yes, thank you. So I think the thing you need to have is self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Yes.
Very important.
And it can sound big, but I'd like to break it down.
Please do.
Okay?
We have the time. Please do.
When we talk about self-awareness, it's the realization of who you are. It's the realization of your calling. It's the realization of what you want to do. And I know there's a girl in primary, she's like, besides kizungu mingi, sasa umesema nini?
Sasa kuja kwa Kiswahili basi.
I think I'll give an example. We have children. Akiwa tu Sunday school teacher kila Sunday anasema, hebu tuimbie nyimbo. You know, there's always that person who is guided to, like, do a particular activity. So in Sunday school, they're like, nani atatuimbia? Watoto wote, they point towards you. You go to secondary or even in primary school, wageni wanakuja, nani ataperform?
Right.
Yes. So that's just one of the pointers of how you can identify your calling, your passion, but in this case, what you can do, because we are building it, okay? I'll also give another example, at least for the extroverts, singing will be a good example. But for the introverts, nilikuwa naona shuleni watu wakipigana, kuna mtu akiongea, vita inaisha. That's true, right? So when you realize you can do things like that, I remember for me, I used to say I want to be a president.
You still can be. There's hope.
There's hope. But you see, you realize like you have that leadership in you, okay? So even if you're a girl in, wherever you are in your environment, there are those things that people point out you're good at. And sometimes it's as simple as making hair. Mkiwa home the holiday, watu wakitaka kutengeneza nywele unajua, nenda kwa kina nani. So it doesn't have to be something big, it's just something small. So back to my point of realizing your calling, realizing what you can do. Those are the small pointers that can enable you to know what you do. So once you have that self-awareness, you've more or less traced what you want, what you want to do and where you want to go. That will be your guiding factor. The next thing is, again, ile environment too, sawa. So this girl in an environment where it's rowdy and people taking drugs and there's domestic violence and there's everything around you. The next thing you do is put yourself in a community. Now, some people are lucky, either you stay with a parent or an older sister who is intentional in helping you grow, okay, the right way. But some, we cannot neglect the fact that some people are not so lucky. So you get, maybe you're in a single parent family and maybe your dad is a drunkard, okay? So you can create a community for yourself. How do you do this? We have institutions. I think for me, again, I cannot downplay the role of the church. I really cannot downplay the role of the church. So that's the first institution I would recommend.
So this young girl needs to
get a community.
Or rather, join some church somewhere. That's what you're saying?
Yes, that is one of the recommendations. So join a community of believers because, for me, Christian values have played a very big role in shaping where I've gone. And that's a recommendation I would give to anyone watching. And then the second thing she needs to do is join a community group. Now, I've seen community groups which are involved in cleaning, they're involved in artwork, they're involved in play. You just have to go out there and look for them.
Yeah.
So go out there and get a community of art that you can involve in. The other thing I will do is ask you to get a mentor.
Get a mentor.
Get a mentor.
Hold that thought there. So, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you're watching us and you just tuned in, you're wondering, who's this lady on TV today with us? Well, this is Sofina Merino. She's everything except nothing. She's an education expert, she's a mentor, she's a role model, she's a trainer, she's a project officer. And today we're just talking about mentorship and role modeling, but with a bias towards girls, of course. Now the fact that the guest is a lady and she's gone through all these motions, she didn't just find herself where she is. She went through what you're going through now and she overcame. And she's a living proof that when you align yourself to the church, when you align yourself to the principles of God, you can always overcome and become something in the society. I'm so sure if you Google who Sofina is, you'll get so many things on Google and Facebook and what have you. So just in case you're wondering how to get in touch with us, there are numbers down on your screen. Please make a call, send us a text. Let us hear what you think about the show and many other shows on Elevate TV. You can also follow us on our social media handles at Elevate TV Kenya on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that bell so that once something is up, you will be reminded. So Sofina, back to you. You wanted to start something on mentorship, but I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to go there because somebody who had sent me a message before we came to this show, and this is a girl who is a part of our church, and one of the questions that she wanted me to address, just looking for it, is how should girls deal with peer pressure? how should girls deal with peer pressure? Because I realize if you go to mentorship, it's a total different topic.
Yeah.
But how should girls deal with peer pressure? Because in the challenges, fortunately, you mentioned peer pressure.
Yes.
So this young girl is wondering, how should girls deal with peer pressure? Because I don't know why she said how should girls, not how should young people. But I think there's something unique about girls dealing with peer pressure.
Yeah, and thank you for that question. How should girls deal with peer pressure? And I mean, just to contextualize that question, I think she was very particular with girls because our pressures are different. They reaches a point they're a bit different in terms of how society perceives us, in terms of expectations that the society has of us. And so as a girl, I think one of the things you can do is get yourself out of that environment.
Get yourself out.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll do that with an example. So let's take a scenario where this girl say, I don't know the problems people in high school have now, but let's say she's getting pressure maybe to get a boyfriend, okay? So everyone in school or in her circle just met someone during the long holiday that they had. And for her, she's sticking to purity and chastity, and she's focused on her education, okay? So when you're in such an environment, the truth is it can get to you. You could feel like you're the one who's missing out. So what's my point now? Get out of that environment. What I'm saying is withdraw from that company. I mean, and sometimes it comes with a bit of confidence and the ability to stand up for yourself, because the group you're in could say, oh, unajifanya, unajidu, siku hizi hutaki kutembea na sisi, unajifanya wewe ni Holy Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get out of that, so one, you need the courage and the courage to get out of that environment, okay? And then two, as a young person, you need to be decisive. Yani, una make decisions, na you stand by them, okay? And this is very important because, I mean, everything is about decisions, honestly, whereby you feel this is not right for me. As an individual, this is not right. And sometimes it can even be literally peer pressure in the essence of, well, I'm trying to show it goes both ways. People say you need to sing in the choir, but you feel, right now I need my own time, maybe to concentrate on my studies, okay? So you need to make a decision and say, yes, I know I'm good at this, but what is good for me right now is this other pathway. So I think that I'm just trying to explain the point on being decisive, being able to make a decision and stand by it. We also call it the power of saying no.
Power of saying no.
The power of saying no, because, well, now from my mentorship experience, you realize very many people know what to do. Honestly, people know what to do, but the ability to want and to say no, that is where the problem comes in. So, I'm experiencing this pressure. It's not right, I should not do it, but because of the external situation, yes, and the forces, you comply. So the third way to deal with peer pressure is having the ability and learning to have the ability to say no. Yes, and then
wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you short, but I need to cement these points. Number one, it is okay to withdraw. Withdraw from that company, withdraw from that friend. Just move out. It is okay. It is okay. As long as it's not building you, it is not building you spiritually, it is not enhancing your education, it is not going to help you get better promotion at the workplace, it is okay to withdraw. That's what we're saying here. It is also okay to say no. Say no to toxic friends. Say no to toxic relationships. Say no to things that are not building you up. And the third one was?
Get a community.
Get a community. Get a community. So the things we're saying here, it's not like you don't know them. You know these things. but we will remind you until you practice them as young people, so that we can align this nation and we can align, because if the young people are not aligned properly from the word go, then the future of this nation is in shambles. So back to you.
Yes.
So yes, my super director is just saying I need to talk to you for the next 3 minutes before he gives us a break for water.
Okay.
Yes. So I was just saying, get a community, walk away, say no. But you see, sometimes the courage and the will and the zeal to say no may not be there. How do you pray, or do you tell somebody to help you say no? I mean, how do you come to that place you say, mimi hapo stuck? Because sometimes the pressure is so much. You are like, wewe ni mtu au shikanishi. Hizi kitu zaendanga hivi. You know?
It's true.
So how do you get the courage? Do you need to pray? Do you need to seek assistance? How do you get the courage to say no? That say no bit, because as you said, people know what to do.
Yeah.
But it becomes very difficult for them to implement it.
Yes.
At the point where they have to say no.
Wow. I mean, it will be interesting because it's not easy. I think that's the first acknowledgement that it's not easy. But they say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So this is my philosophy. You just can't, you can't watch the show today and go like, I'm a no warrior. And we say, moving forward, you know what's right for you and you'll be doing it. That would be a lie. But back to my statement, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Especially for the young girls watching, it's something that you get to develop. It's something that you get to grow. In terms of communication, saying no to the part, again, people say no and people don't take you seriously. So being able to communicate and say no and people take your word for it, that's the first part. So I will say in learning how to say no, it's a process. It's a process that needs to be learned from where you're seated right now, okay? So for example, I think we can give another example.
Hold that example.
Okay.
Just come up with that example in a clear way. Immediately after this short break, that example is coming back to you.